Welcome to the channel, guys. It's Weedle, and first, I wanted to stop and thank everyone, all my supporters. I recently got to 1,000 subscribers. It's been an interesting, fun year. This is all new to me. I knew nothing about recording videos or making videos or any of this. So I do greatly support everyone that hit the subscribe button or liked a video or commented on a video. I can't thank you enough. It's been kind of a crazy ride. But to on with this video, what am I doing? Well, I read a lot of comments on the loot boxes, and they said this year's tanks weren't that good. So that got me kind of curious. What did previous years have in them? So I went back, and we're going to do a quick recap of all the previous year's loot box tanks, and then I am going to rank them 1 to 8 from best to worst, and we're going to see what this year's loot boxes, how they rank with the previous years. And I think you might be surprised, at least in my opinion, of where it ranks. But let me know where you think this year's loot boxes rank. And starting in 2018, you'll see some familiar tanks on here. The Type 59, which is, I think, the only year they had a preferred matchmaking tank in the loot boxes. The Lorraine 40T, the T26E5, and the Scorpion G. Honestly, a lot of these tanks really have not held up very well. The Lorraine is not seen as very good these days. The E5, it's just been so power crept. A Scorpion G is still a Scorpion G. And you have the Type 59. It's basically an average tier 8. Would be a really good tech tank, but as a premium, not amazing. Now, 2019 is interesting. This is the only year I highlighted the lower tier tanks in. And that's because this is really like the year of the Seal Clubber. An E25, a 105 Leffe, and a KV220-2. 3 of the best Seal Clubbing tanks in the game happen to be in this year's loot boxes. You also had the Object 252, which for a long time was considered extremely broken in the game. And again, they sold the Scorpion G again, because I guess they couldn't come up with any new tanks. You also had the IS-3A. Now, the IS-3A, when it came out, was, prior to it actually coming out, everyone was screaming about how overpowered it was going to be. It never really made the splash that everyone thought it would. 2020, I think this is when Wargaming started realizing how good or lucrative the loot boxes could be for them. You had the Progetto 46, the E75 TS, the Object 7032, and the Su-130. What's interesting is every one of these tanks is still good today. 5 years later. It's pretty incredible. 2021, the year of the autoloader. We had the Basante C45, the G-Sword 1008, the ISU 152K, and the Barask. I think this year's the 2021 tanks are really being held up by the Barask, if we're being honest. The Basante isn't terrible, but no one really thinks of the ISU 152 or the G-Sword 1008 as good tanks. 2022, another really interesting year, definitely being held up by the Skoda T56. You also had the Torvon. Now, what's interesting about the Torvon in this, as far as reviewing these loot boxes, is it's been buffed since it came out. When it came out, it really wasn't that amazing, but it's since been buffed and is honestly it's an above average tier 8 heavy now. You also have the 122 TM, still a pretty decent tank. The Caliban, it was always kind of meant as a meme, kind of fun tank. I still think it fills that role. And then you had the M4Y. Honestly, you so rarely see it in the Matchmaker these days. It just didn't really make a splash. 2023. The year, I think, this is the reason why no one thinks each year's loot boxes are good anymore. Because every tank in 2023 was good. You had the Charmil 75. The first year that they released a tier 9 premium tank, and is honestly still a pretty good tank. It's very fun to play. Probably the worst in this list is the Vapira, and not even a bad tank destroyer in its own right. Of course, we have the infamous BZ-176. Nobody enjoys playing against this tank. The Iron Arnie, which is just a rough and tumble American medium tank, and the AMBT. Not extremely popular tank in the Matchmaker, but everyone knows it is a dangerous opponent. 2024, they continued with the trend of 2 tier 9 tanks in the game with the Tiger Mouse and the Object 752. I don't think either one of these tanks is really amazing, but they're not bad. They're very, I would rate them as average tier 9s. Then we had the G-SOAR 1010, kind of trying to sell the new British medium line. It kind of suffers the same thing as the line does, just not enough DPM. The Type 63, again, it's trying to bring up excitement for the Japanese heavy line that came out. This tank was kind of a dud. It's got bad DPM, bad alpha. And then the XM66. I think everyone was real excited when this thing came out, and they just quickly just turned it off. It really wasn't that good. And we have 2025, and we're all familiar with these right now. They're everywhere in the matchmaker. You have the Toro, which you can just watch your reload the entire match, because that's basically all. It's always reloading. It's kind of annoying. So many things this tank probably needed was more alpha. We could complain about it all day. The first tier 9 premium tank, medium premium tank, I believe, is DZT 159. Pretty good tank. I think this one's kind of one of the favorites of the list. Of course, you have the Scrawl. My gosh, they're in every match, and I have killed these things by the dozen. Here, you have the XM57. Better than the XM66 in nearly every way. This is a very dangerous tank to be fighting, and I think probably one of the best tier for tiers in the list, for this year at least. And then we have the Contradictorous. So now that we've kind of gone through all these, let's see how I rank them. And honestly, let me know what you think. Did I get it right? Do you remember some of the previous years better than they turned out to be? Because I seem to remember some of them being a little bit better. Okay, starting off, coming in 8th place. This is the worst year to buy loot boxes, in my opinion. 2018, with the Type 59 Lorraine 40T. It's just, this year didn't really hold up. I mean, you still have the Scorpion G, which is a decent tank. It's not great, though. Certainly no one considers it overpowered in 2025. And in 7th place, we have 2019. The IS-3, the thing with 2019 is it's definitely the year of the Seal Clubber. The IS-3A is just not good anymore. The Object 252U, or the Defender, is still a pretty decent tank. And then they just resold the Scorpion G again. Like, why even bother? 6th place, 2024. Yep, last year. I did not care for it. Tiger Mouse, very underwhelming tank. Object 752, it's pretty average tier 9 heavy in my opinion. G-SOAR 1010, Type 63 and XM66. At best, they are average. Honestly, the Type 63 is definitely below average. I think the G-SOAR is honestly probably below average. Coming in 5th place, 2021, the year of the autoloader. Basically, the Brask is holding this up a lot. You also have the Basante. It's not terrible, but it's not, no one ever considers it to be a really good tier 8. It's just okay. The G-SOAR 1010, you got to manage your reloads. 4th place, 2022. Yeah, the Mivi, the Caliban, the Skoda T56. This is mostly being held up by the Skoda T56. The Caliban, very much a meme tank, but it's still fun to play. The 122, still decent, but no one considers it overpowered or really good. It's probably an average at best. 2025, yep, this year. I think it actually ranks 3rd. The Toro, I think it's probably the worst, and the Scrawl. But the DZT 159, XM57, the Contradictorous, all above average to good tier 8 or tier 9 tanks. So pretty good year. I think the XM57 is maybe the prime, but a lot of people really enjoy the DZT. A lot of high opinions on that one. 2020 coming in 2nd. What can you say? The Progetto 46, the E75 TS, the Object 703, and the Su 130 are all still good 5 years later. Wargaming really did a good job on that one. And this is no surprise, 2023. This is the sole reason everyone thinks every other year's loot boxes are bad, because there's not a single bad tank in the group. The worst one being the Vapira. It's not even terrible, but yeah, if you want to call one of them average, it'd probably be the Vapira, and everything else is good. So that's my rankings. Let me know if you agree with my list. Would you shuffle this a little bit differently? Do you rank one of the lower ones higher? Do you think I correctly ranked this year's loot boxes at third? That's what I'd most like to hear. Don't forget to leave a like if you like the video. And if you're feeling generous, subscribe. Thank you.